And I'm reading all these books right now, and I stayed away from self-analysis books and self-help books for the longest time because I thought they were stupid. I was like, I don't need to read a how-to book. Like, I'm killing it. I don't need anybody else's opinions.
Just I think people that do that are the ones that need it the most.
I know. So let me. I was trying to say something.
But please continue.
But basically, my mom had all these books, and I'd see them all over the place in the house. I'm like, what is this crap, Mom? Like, why can't you just be a human being and stop reading how to do stuff from other people? And I was so resistant. And I was so resistant because I had been living in that place for such a long time. And then when I finally graduated from it and I was my own man, I was so confident. I had this like taut backbone. And I was like, I am a man. I can do my own things. So now, like, I think the more I get older, like, men think with this. They don't think with this. And like, it's very like, it's challenging. It's challenging to come into that mental space.
They don't think with this, they think with this. What do you mean by that?
I mean, it's a little bit different nowadays because the world's becoming so technology-based, but I think for the majority of the existence of human beings, physicality was like the most predominant thing for a man to exude other than wealth, because that was the thing that showed the most prowess for you being a man. Mm-hmm. Like, you could be a thinker, but like all great thinkers amongst time, like painters and philosophers, those were always broke losers and nobody cared about what they had to say until they were like dead for hundreds of years. And then someone picked up their book and like, wow, this guy's pretty clever. And now it's changing a little bit in directions, and there's becoming a little bit more of this woke generation, I guess. But it took me a long time to really even think about any of that stuff. I just ignored it.
Why do you think that?
Because of that opportunity of physicality. It's the reason why I'm an athlete right now. I realized the easiest way for me as a man to get notoriety and at least success was to just use my physicality. I used it forever. I've always been an athlete. But then as you get older, you have to realize that this physical body is not always going to be able to move bricks and win championship titles all the time. Like, there has to be something more behind that.
What's up, everyone? You are listening to Wake Up Naked. I am your host, Esme Leon. We're going in deep into ourselves. We're going to be talking about ideas and concepts and things that have the potential to actually change our lives. So get excited, get ready, and what are you waiting for? Come over here and get naked with me.
I didn't realize for the longest time that I had holes inside of these pants, and I almost never wear underwear.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so I've been in some business meetings where I'm like talking.
With these pants?
Yeah, with these pants. I'm like, how are you today? And people are like, sir.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for anyone that's listening and not seeing the video, please go to the video because you can see Hunter's balls right now.
No, I wore underwear. I've actually started to upgrade. Yeah, this is a new moment for me in life.
I was wondering why you were wearing those pants if you could see your balls.
Listen, it's an interview day. I want to feel really free and comfortable, okay? I'm on your couch, I'm with you, I want to be in my zone. I want to look as big as that guy who was just on camera. Do I look good? I'm going to only talk with the arm pump. That guy's gigantic.
I see your vein popping out.
Thank you.
Good job, Hunter. Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Esme Leon. You are at the Wake Up Naked podcast, and I am here with a really good friend of mine, someone that I'm so happy that I met, Hunter McIntyre.
Yes.
What's up, homie?
Well, I would first off want to know, how did the title come around to Wake Up Naked? Because I wake up naked. And
I'm supposed to be asking you the questions.
I just want to know so I can understand what kind of podcast I'm on. So I don't want to. I just want to know what direction we're going to lean towards, because the title is very kind of true to what we're going to probably start talking about.
I agree. However, probably not what you're thinking. It's great that you wake up naked, but I'm talking about waking up naked with your soul coming up raw, nothing on you, just what you see is what you get. Those are the type of conversations we're going to be having today. So I
just started working through that stuff, a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it fucking feels great. You know what I just started doing?
What?
So I just got out of a breakup, and it's not meant to dig into emotional stuff, but I decided, because I just want to go and just like feel like $1,000,000 because I have no baggage in my life. I'm the happiest person I know. I decided I was going to contact every single person I knew that I even had the smallest inkling of drama with. Usually I don't have any drama. Even if like they said something to me and they called me stupid, I thought about that and I'm like, man, remember that time you called me stupid? That hurt. And I want you to know. So I called like a list of people this last week and it felt so good. I've got nothing. I've got nothing holding me back. I literally can't turn any corner and I can bump into anybody I want and I literally will never feel dramatic about it. Because sometimes, I'm sure like you work out at the gym. There's probably maybe a trainer that picked up a dumbbell that you wanted one time. They didn't share it too well.
Actually, there's a trainer that said I was overtraining and I'm like, psh,
exactly.
what do you know?
But so what I did is I found those people and I was like, yo, I know that you wanted to say that to me, but I didn't like it. And I want you to know that. And I'm okay that you shared it with me. And I don't think you're a bad person. And I cut that drama out of my life. Yeah. So maybe you should confront him on that.
I honestly, jokes aside, I actually think that's a very powerful tool and very smart of you because you literally energetically just cleared the field.
Oh, it feels so good.
Yeah.
Feels good.
What inspired you to do that?
Well, I just was like in a point in my life where last year was very challenging for me, and I'm not a dramatic person, so I'm not trying to. This is not a woe me podcast, but I just decided to go out after the CrossFit Games. I changed up my career a little bit. I tried a couple new things. I tried a new relationship, and all of them felt a little bit like an uphill walk rather than like kind of like a glorious walk on the beach, just strolling around. And I'm the kind of person where I believe in resistance. We both love the gym, and resistance challenges you and makes you grow as a person. But you can't be grinding all the time. Like you need to have some relaxed moments. And I just didn't feel like that. And I just wanted to make sure that every day I woke up naked. Like I had zero baggage starting the day. And I'm a very big relationship person. Like I have tons of friends and everything that I do is associated with relationships because I'd like to train with people. When I'm done training, I like to call my friends or my parents. If I'm going to go on a hike or on like a New Year's trip like you and I are doing, I include as many people as I can in it because it makes me happier.
Right. Just so people know, by the time this episode airs, we will have already conquered
the
Appalachian Mountains. No, Hunter, we're going to conquer it.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. Duh. What, 70 miles?
70 miles, piece of cake.
Nothing.
Leisurely walk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I cover that kind of distance walking around New York City every day.
There you go.
Piece of cake.
Anyway, I was so excited for the New Year's, but yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Actually, I've told you this before. I think one of your best qualities is ready for it?
Put it on me.
You're a very curious person, and I've said this to you before, and that's one of the first things I noticed because we met on a job in New York where you were leading the Tough Mudder for Beachbody and a program that they have on their Open Fit app. And we had lunch for the first time with the group of us, and you kept asking questions. I'm like, why is this dude asking so many questions? And to be honest, full disclosure, at the beginning, I thought that it was inauthentic.
Ooh.
Like you were just like almost like you didn't actually care. Because I was like, how could someone care that much? And that's just me being cynical.
Yeah.
And the more I got to know you, I'm like, no, Hunter is a genuinely like curious person, and you ask a ton of questions. So, why do you think? Have you always been so curious?
I mean, I think I'm just naturally a talking person, and curiosity is an easy way to continue to kind of work through your thoughts and share thoughts with people. And I think I told this to you. I like to ask questions because eventually you and I are going to match on something, and it's going to be something that we can really ignite, and then we can start to really dig into our friendship. Because when you start to make friendships with people, you got to work through layers, and eventually something is going to stick, and you're going to be able to really, connect with that person. And as you get to become better friends with them, you're going to connect on more and more. And the best friends, you almost connect in all different kinds, like in every way. Some of my closest friends, I don't even have to say anything. Like we almost have aligned all of our thoughts together. So just as a person, like, whether I'm sitting down with you or anybody else in the room, I just want to learn more. And eventually I'll find something that we both love, and we're going to have a blast with it. Mm-hmm. So, you and I are both physical people. It's very easy for us to connect in the gym. And I think fitness is like the universal language. I could go to Japan. I can't speak any Japanese, but I can go into the gym and I can share that moment with somebody. We could both do bench press together. We could share pull-ups together. And it's that exchange of energy and a communication. And, that's why I've always loved fitness. But as I get older and I like to connect with people on a deeper level. It's like just like naturally with like, sexual relationships. When you're a younger person, it's just easy to bang, but then eventually you need something more there. As you get older, you need to have a little bit more WD-40 or a little bit of grease on the grind to make that more exciting.
WD-40?
WD-40 is something you could put on anything to make it kind of slide up and down if it gets sticky. So it's a more inappropriate way. If you want to dig into it, it's going to make this podcast really weird, and we can get back into waking up naked.
Well, is it sexual or is it mechanical? Because I thought of a car.
It's mechanical.
Okay, there you go. Okay.
You're basically kind of just buttering me up. I need to be enthused and engaged with somebody. And like, that's the kind of thing in all relationships. So I'm a talker now. I have always been a super physical person, but now that same energy that I've used to kind of grind my body into dust, I've started to kind of bring up above the shoulders into my head.
Yeah, that's really cool. Is there something that happened that you think shifted that?
Well, I remember I used to date this girl, and she used to love reading books, smoking cigarettes, and drinking wine. And at the time, like, I was this guy who was working out 5 hours a day, and I was like, why are you reading other people's books? Why don't you just go create your own life and stop reading other people's? And I always thought books were so stupid. And I always thought, like, not living life was so stupid. Like, people who just sat down and watched TV or read books instead of just going out there and experiencing it. And I think probably around 22 years old, 23 years old, I had this shift where I just couldn't keep on chasing like tennis balls like a dog would. I needed to kind of sit down and kind of ruminate and think and learn and experience in a different kind of way because I was getting too exhausted. And at that point, I started to read a lot of books. I started to kind of connect with people on a deeper level in conversation. And just it went from there. That was 7 years ago.
Yeah. How important do you think it is for people to self-reflect?
Well, self-reflection is a very challenging thing. So I think you have to be, first of all, ready for it. And second of all, you have to really want it. Because I know so many really intelligent people who are very successful and very engaging. And you immediately assume like, wow, this person's so incredible. But as soon as you challenge them, they can, and I used to be this way, so I'm speaking for my own behalf as well, they'll fight you and they'll get anxious or they'll get angry. And I think self-reflection is something that's very challenging because I just had to self-reflect and go through like this whole thing where I was like, why would I be challenged as a man if someone said something to me? Like, do I not feel like a man? If someone called me stupid or something like that, like, why would I think that? And then I had to sit there and be like, why? Like, I had to call my friend this morning and clean out some cobwebs with him. And I was like, I had to bring something up with him. And I was like, why would I feel that way? I have to really dig in deep to understand why I would call him and call him out on that first before I could actually talk to him about it. Because if I was like, you're a jerk for saying that to me, and I didn't really have my reasons behind it and expose why it was challenging for me so we can get better and move past that point, it wouldn't have worked. It would just be me calling him a jerk. So self-reflection, it's just like fall, like leaves will all land on your backyard and kind of clutter things up. And sometimes you just don't want to get out there and clean that up. But once you're able to dig through all that stuff and clear it all out, you can see your truest self. But it's a lot of work to get there.
Do you think any of that has to do with like self-accountability or like taking ownership of yourself?
Well, I don't think it's easy to do that kind of stuff. I don't think it's easy to really be accountable for everything you do. It's much easier to just go through life and just do and not look back. You know what I mean? If you always just drove straight on, didn't have rear view mirrors or like, had your earphones in and weren't listening to anybody else talk, like it's very easy. Like I'm a talkative person. Sometimes I'll just overpower the room with conversation and never listen. I went out to dinner a couple nights ago with this person and she was just talking for fucking ever.
And you're like, do I do that?
Yeah. And it just made, at first I was like, I'm slightly annoyed by this. And then I started thinking, I'm like, are you annoyed because you're kind of like that, Hunter? And it was this kind of thing where I had to like stop her in conversation and start to really like ask questions just so I could break it up a little bit. And, afterwards I was like, why are you irritated by this? So yeah, that's self-reflection and that's challenging because you realize that you're not a perfect person. And I think I'm perfect in almost every single way, but I'm getting better.
Except for when you're not.
Yeah, exactly. Reflect, get better.
No, honestly, I give you kudos because in my personal life as well, being able to ask the question, not just get curious about other people, but get curious about yourself.
Yeah.
Because I was angry this past week about something, and the anger kept coming up, but I didn't make it about the other person. And I kept trying to bring it back to me, because the minute my mind was like, she did this, you lose power, I feel. So I was like, get curious about the anger and just let it be. Yeah. Don't make it anything more or less. Just get curious. And it sounds like that's what you're doing with yourself, which I think is huge.
Well, I mean, I think this is another thing I did. I had to go through therapy all the time when I was growing up, because they told me I was a psycho. I had ADD, I had bipolar disorder, I had everything that was like in a book. Like a psychiatrist, like literally tore every page out of the book and was like, you have to be all these things.
Wow.
And they put me on medication, all this stuff. And I was a very energetic kid. And I think it was just, misdiagnosed,
And I saw that you said from 7 to 21, they medicated you, right?
Yeah, it was a long time.
Which is insane.
Crazy. I mean, the kind of stuff that you see people like take and go to nightclubs and dance for like 24 hours straight, they were giving me that on a daily dose, just massive amounts of stimulants and suppressants and stimulants. It was crazy. And I really hated the experience, because I had to go to a therapist twice a week and talk about that stuff. And then when I went to rehab, I had to go talk to a therapist like 4 times a week and then go to AA and share my feelings. I'm like, why the fuck do I always have to talk about what's going on with me? Why can't I just be a human being? Like, I don't need to talk to you guys. Let me just fucking live. And sorry, I keep on swearing, but like, it was that level of irritation where it was resistance. And
you can swear, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank gosh. Shit. No. Basically, it took a long time for me to get away from that and have that rebound and be able to actually come into these thoughts. And especially, I think, as a man, women live in this emotional state. And I'm reading all these books right now, and I stayed away from self-analysis books and self-help books for the longest time, because I thought they were stupid. I was like, I don't need to read a how-to book. Like, I'm killing it. I don't need anybody else's opinions.
Just as answer, I think people that do that are the ones that need it the most.
I know. So let me, I was trying to say something.
But please continue.
But basically, my mom had all these books, and I'd see them all over the place in the house. I'm like, what is this crap, Mom? Like, why can't you just be a human being and stop reading how to do stuff from other people? And I was so resistant. And I was so resistant because I had been living in that place for such a long time. And then when I finally graduated from it and I was my own man, I was so confident. I had this like taut backbone. And I was like, I am a man. I can do my own things. So now, like, I think the more I get older, like, men think with this. They don't think with this. And like, it's very like, it's challenging. It's challenging to come into that mental space.
They don't think with this, they think with this. What do you mean by that?
I mean, it's a little bit different nowadays because the world's becoming so technology-based, but I think for the majority of the existence of human beings, physicality was like the most predominant thing for a man to exude other than wealth, because that was the thing that showed the most prowess for you being a man. Mm-hmm. Like, you could be a thinker, but like all great thinkers amongst time, like painters and philosophers, those were always broke losers, and nobody cared about what they had to say until they were like dead for hundreds of years. And then someone picked up their book and like, wow, this guy's pretty clever. And now it's changing a little bit in directions, and there's becoming a little bit more of this woke generation, I guess. But it took me a long time to really even think about any of that stuff. I just ignored it.
Why do you think that?
Because of that opportunity of physicality. That's the reason why I'm an athlete right now. I realized the easiest way for me as a man to get notoriety and at least success was to just use my physicality. I used it forever. I've always been an athlete. But then as you get older, you have to realize that this physical body is not always going to be able to move bricks and win championship titles all the time. Like, there has to be something more behind that. Yeah. Because that's coming right around the corner. I'm 30. I'll probably quit in the next 5 years or so.
Yeah.
But you have to be prepared for that. And I think I had to start thinking like that. And I've a lot of my competitors are much older than me. Most of my friends are in their late 30s and 40s. And I'm 30 years old. And I started to bring those people into my life because I realized how I needed to connect with that kind of person to get out of this kind of person. Mm. Yeah.
So do you think it's really important for people to surround themselves with a certain type of people?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you need to be, I'm sure a lot of cheesy people say this, but you should try to be the dumbest person in the room or like the poorest person in the room. You should always try to get yourself into different circles that really challenge you. Because if you're at the top of what you're already in, you don't have much else place to go. Like you're not learning from anybody at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you need to put yourself into situations where people have done so much and like makes your little, like, you know, what I've done is an anthill, and I want to be next to people who've climbed Everest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to get perspective.
Yeah, you said something that stood out to me as a woman, because I dated someone that said something that stood out, where he said it often, where like, I'm a man. And
Yeah.
it wasn't a joke. Like he meant it seriously. Like, I'm a man. I'm not gonna let you feed me. Right?
Yeah. God, I want to meet this guy. That sentence alone is, don't feed me. What the hell?
I swear to God.
God.
And it always like struck me, because I felt like intuitively like there's insecurity behind that, even though I didn't
Tons.
say it at the moment. So why do you think it's so hard for men to connect with? You mentioned mind, but I will add heart. You know,
They can all be the same. It's weird how, though, when you do get like anxious or hurt, like how it actually hurts here sometimes. Weirdest thing. Never really thought about that. As I got older, like I can cry now during movies. It's weird. It's weird. Like as I got older, before, like you could hit me with a blowtorch and I wouldn't shed a tear. Like it wasn't part of me.
yeah.
Sorry, I got distracted. What were you saying though?
No, but I like that. Why do you think it's so hard for men to connect both sides? The physical, because the physical is very fun and it's very real,
Yeah.
but also with the heart and with the mind.
Well, one's a lot easier. One's a lot easier to just be a physical person and never really think below the layers of it. I mean, I think women so intuitively are just so easy to like tap into that emotion, thought, and share. I don't know why. Like, you know, men are from Mars and women are from Venus, whatever the heck that might be. But our whole goal in life is to bring those two closer together.
Yeah.
Because what's the point of like thinking about women and wanting to spend time with women all the time if we just completely just assume that you're this other creature and beast that I'll never figure out, but I always want to spend time with you. And same with the men, like women versus men, like you're just like a rock with a hair on top. Like you're just an idiot. And I still love you though. Like, you know what I mean? But your goal as a person in life is to do what you love and bring other people into it. And, you know, mine, as I started to get older, I realized that not every woman that I bumped into could be a sexual partner. She could be a partner of some other degree and have friends, and like how that enhanced my life. At first I thought, I'm like, well, what do I need a girl for other than that? And it took such a long time. And all of a sudden now I have got a handful of girlfriends that I could never get through life without. They're just amazing people. They're super supportive and they do things for me that my guy friends can't do. And I think it's just this little life of trial and error and just continually digging deeper and trying to figure out things where you'll eventually discover that. And some people will never try and they'll live that life and maybe it's a happy life to them, because if you don't try and you don't know, then what's the difference? But people who do try, that can be a very challenging thing, and that pain is more challenging than not trying at all. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah. As you've dug deep into yourself, what's been one of the biggest insights that you've gotten?
Well, I think passion and happiness are probably like the biggest root of what I'm really trying to achieve in life. Like I would rather live in the woods and be like a logger and like have like a farm and enjoy that than try to be a multi-millionaire who's got all this baggage that comes with it. And as long as you're passionate about being in that place and doing those things, why do you need to have all that extra money and all that extra clout and all that extra? Best word is probably extra in this sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, like I'll never forget, I went to church one day and this pastor was like, you know, I want you guys to listen, like, you know, right now you're this dude and you've got a girlfriend, you've got this car. And then like, you know, 5 years from now, you're going to want a new apartment, fancier apartment with a better view and a better car and a girl who's a little bit cuter. And then next thing you know, down the road, you're going to get married, but you want a bigger house and you want like, you know, a better job and this, that, and the other thing. And he's like, when is that ever going to stop? And when can you ever just appreciate what you already have?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was like, you are such a moron. I was like, it's called like working hard and like getting after it, bro. Yeah. It's got like, get after it. You want to put some more food on your plate or do cooler things? Like go get after it. I'm like, you're just lazy. Quit trying to put that in other people's heads. And I thought it was so stupid. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, wow. I'm like, one pair of shoes, one good pair of jeans, one good pull-up bar to get my workout done on, and at least a place to rest my head and some good people around me. That's awesome. The more successful I get, the more bills I have, the more things I have to do to get the day done. Like after I'm done hanging out with you, I have this list of things I have to get done. But all those things didn't just come. I put them there.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you have to find this happy medium where it's like, stop chasing and start appreciating. So, that's probably the thing that I'm starting to really discover at this point in my life.
Yeah. That's really cool. Just one thing that you said, a word that stuck out was passion.
Yeah.
And I had seen in one of your previous interviews something that stood out to me and actually was very inspirational to me was when you spoke about passion versus dedication in the moment when passion became more for you.
Yeah.
You chose to be dedicated. What does that actually mean for you? Passion versus dedication. And
well, passion can be anything. Passion can, like, you can be passionate about like being a cook and love the experience of making food and just enjoying the food. But dedication is like, different. It's like it becomes a craft, and it becomes something you're going to perfect and you're going to get better at, and you're going to pursue it in a different light. And you have to make that mental shift. Like I talked to people about this the other day where I was explaining how when I was younger, anybody could test me in anything in physicality and I would just fight them to the death, whether it was running a mile, the most pull-ups, the biggest deadlift, and I would just burn myself out so much. And because I always thought I had to be better than everybody. And that was like my passion for fitness. And all of a sudden I realized I was like, dude, you're just burning yourself out. You're just burning your energy out all the time. You have to become dedicated to your craft and learn that not every workout's a fight, and learn that the certain points in your life are the fight. You know what I mean? Not everything is meant to be the most grandiose test of all time. And you have to discern the two of those things. So I learned how to appreciate and love fitness as a whole, but then also become dedicated to my profession, which is sport. So I could come and work out with you and like be in the gym and we could just do some fun movements. Before I couldn't do that. I needed to beat you on everything.
Yeah.
So I learned how to exchange like love for something with dedication and like, pursuit of profession with something. And I don't know if it's describing exactly the moment that you talked about in that podcast, but, or that interview, but that's how I discern the two of them.
Yeah. I can relate to you in the sense of like, not necessarily wanting to be better than anybody, but always having to go all out.
Yeah.
And
you just got burnt out recently, didn't you?
Didn't get burnt out. Just the natural flow of I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, my body's a little toll on my body for sure. But I think it's natural as far as like the flow of like being an athlete. You train hard, mostly all year, and then it's natural to slow down. So I'm in a slow down phase where I'm not jumping a lot. I'm walking. And your story, I thank you. It's funny because I was very excited and I still am, but I made this video about like, I'm not jumping all of December. And then yesterday I was like, maybe I could just do 1 or 2 days of HIIT.
Yeah.
And I was like, stop.
Yeah, you got to learn how to put that down.
Yeah. But to your point, I used to never be able to train with other people because it would slow me down.
Yeah.
And I was missing so much connection. I was missing like, oh, if you and I train, like, what have you been up to, Hunter? Okay, cool. Yeah, I might not be able to go as hard as if I was by myself, zoned in with my headphones.
Yeah.
But it's a whole nother world that I shut myself out of because like I can't train with people because they're going to slow me down.
Yeah, well, that's why I built that badass home gym up at the top, because I just realized that I just couldn't take the noise and distraction of the world. And now, just recently, I've been coming down to hang out with you at Gold's Gym, and I was like, wow, like there's people here, and I can connect with people, and this is exciting. I was like, I think I might just get a membership at Gold's just so I can spend some time with other human beings. Like it doesn't always have to be a dogfight. But that is my dojo up there, and that will always hold that place for really dedicated hard work. But we're both hitting a point in our life where we can kind of change that the beat of that drum a little bit and doesn't have to be so intense all the time.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Like I come and took a dance class with you and I freaking crushed it.
Yep, you and your friends
Sweaty
doing
hot mess.
backflips,
Yeah. Listen,
shirtless at
we're
Zumba.
good. We're good. All right.
It got real good. It got real sweaty.
Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you got as much out of that as I did. If you have not hit the subscribe button, make sure to go back and hit subscribe and keep coming back. Team, we're going to the top and I will see you there. I'm out.